Hi fellow crafters. In today's video, I'm going to show you a fun fold technique. Now you might be familiar with this technique, but I'm going to add a fun visual twist. I'm going to be using my Forever Fern stamp set and the matching Forever Flourishing dies, along with a piece of the Beauty of the Earth Designer Series paper. Be sure to watch all the way through my video because I'll be adding some bonus tips and additional design tips along the way. Shall we get started? Hey everyone, I'm Terri and I'm nuts about stamping. I love sharing techniques and project ideas for rubber stamping, scrapbooking, and paper crafting with you each week. Be sure to hit the red subscribe button and the bell beside it so that you'll be the first to be notified when my next video goes live. Now, let's have fun with this fun fold. You can use the Forever Fern stamp set to create cards and accents with the detailed leaves. I don't know if you know this, but this is a distinctive stamp set, and Stampin' Up! Has a patent pending on this kind of a stamp. It has a special texture on each one that gives an added depth and dimension in a single step. So it creates almost like photorealistic images. Now, when the Forever Fern stamp set was first introduced, it was bundled with the Forever Flourishing dies. Now they're sold separately in the current catalog. And that's what I'm going to be using on today's project. I'm going to start with a piece of basic white cardstock. I've cut it 8.5 by 5.5. And instead of scoring it on the 4 1/4 line, I'm going to create a gatefold. So I'm going to slide my cardstock in, and I'm going to move the cutting blade out of the way so I don't make a mistake. And I want to score it on the 2 1/8 line. Okay, so I'll do that first. You can see I've got the score line there. I'm going to move this out of the way. And this is a really fun tip that I'm going to share with you. When you're creating a gatefold card, only do one side with your scoring line, and then to get the perfect gatefold, you're going to fold in the other side sort of manually. Make sure you line it up, and then you can use your bone folder to crease it, okay? So I'm going to crease it like this, then I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to crease it on the other side. Now you can also open it up and crease it again, and then do it back to the original way. The idea being that you want each of these gates, I guess you would call them, to lie flat, and that will help with your gatefold card. So there we go. I'm very happy with that. Now I'm going to set this aside for a second, and we're going to create some elements, and then I'm going to show you this special twist. I've taken 2 of the smaller leaf images from the Forever Fern stamp set, and I've mounted them onto clear blocks. And what I want to do is I want to stamp each of these images onto some Whisper White cardstock. Now the colors I've chosen for my leaves are Old Olive and Pumpkin Pie. So let's ink this up. And I want to stamp Pumpkin Pie on each one of my Whisper White pieces. And then I want to do the same with the other leaf image. So each leaf sort of bends a different way, like so. And you can see the distinctive kind of image that you get. So it sort of matches the natural leaves in nature. They're not all a perfect even tone. And depending on how much ink you apply, you get a different look when you stamp it down. Now, luckily for us, in the Forever Flourishing dies pack, there are 2 dies. One that matches that leaf and one that matches the other leaf. So obviously I'm going to have to die cut it twice. Let me bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And we're going to do a couple of different things with this machine. So the first thing I want to do is die cut both sets of leaves. And then, so I've got this Whisper White piece, and then I've got this second one. So I'm going to have to make 2 passes through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and then I'll come back and we'll do the next step. Right, there are my leaves that I'm going to use as accents on my card. And the next thing I want to do is stamp my phrase. Now, from the Forever Fern stamp set, there's this phrase that says, "To a friend that makes me smile." I really like that phrase. And I'm going to stamp it in cinnamon cider. And just in the center of this piece of Whisper White cardstock. Now I'm going to do something a little bit unusual. I've got a second piece of Whisper White cardstock that's exactly the same size. I'm going to put them together, and I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and I am going to use one of my layering circles dies, and I'm going to die cut both pieces of Whisper White cardstock in one pass through my Big Shot. Did you know you can do that? You can die cut a couple of pieces, a couple of layers at exactly the same point in time. So what I want to do is run this through. Just bring it in a little bit closer to me. You only have to do one pass. You don't have to go back and forth and back and forth. Just move this out of the way for a second. And you can see that I have die cut 2 circles. No fuss, no mess. I'm going to lay that aside for a second. And now I'm going to keep this die, and I'm going to bring in 2 pieces of Merry Merlot cardstock. I'm going to, again, bundle them together, and I'm going to lay this circle down like so. But I'm now going to take a larger circle from the layering circles dies, and I'm going to lay it around the smaller circle, and I want to die cut this circle out, both of these circles out. So let me get this set up on my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine so you can see it again. So what you want to try and do is sort of measure with your eyes so that the circles will be equidistant from each other all the way around. You don't have to be too particular about it. And then you're going to do the same thing. So I've got both pieces of Merry Merlot, one on top of the other, and these 2 dies. And I'm going to lay this down, and I'm going to run it through next. All right, I have my 2 sort of frames. Okay, each one of these was like that. And then I've got my phrase and its matching circle underneath. So these 2 circles you are going to use on another project. You're not going to use it on this one. So save them for something special for another time. Now what you want to do is you want to adhere these 2 circles together. And the reason you're doing this is you want to have sort of a strong gatefold card. And so the best thing to do is to layer these together so it gives added strength to your card. You'll see in a minute what I'm talking about. Just trust for now. So I'm going to set that aside to dry. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. I am going to add some multi-purpose liquid glue. And I'm going to glue these 2 layers together like so. And again, I'm going to just move this and set this aside to dry. Now, I'm going to bring in my card base. And what I want to do is add some designer series paper so that I have some visual interest to the card. Remember in the introduction to the video, I said I was going to use some leftover pieces of Beauty of the Earth designer series paper. So I'm going to, boy, both sides are so pretty. I love the patterns in this paper. I am going to add a strip of paper to each of the little gate sides, like that. There we go. And this one on this side, like so. So you've got this gatefold opening in the center of the card. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to add my Mary Merlot circle to the front of the card. Now, obviously, if I put glue on the entire thing, I wouldn't be able to open it up. So here's the way that I feel is best to add this circle. You want to sort of eyeball it so that you know where the center is. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of a pencil mark, and then I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to do the same thing, just to the best of my ability here. And then I'm going to add some glue, but only to one side. So I know with my pencil mark where the halfway point sort of is. I'm not going to worry too much about it. And then I'm going to turn this over. And again, looking at where my pencil mark is, I'm going to add this to the left side of the gate. Now, what I would suggest you do is open it up. And as you can see, I didn't eyeball it very carefully. So what you'll do is you'll just leave this aside to dry. Leave it open, and once it dries, it won't be sticky. It'll dry clear so nobody will see, and then it'll be perfect for the card when it's all done. Now, to add this layer, you're going to pop it inside like so, but you're going to attach it to the right side only. So I'm going to lay this down so it's my guide. And I am going to add some glue like so. Then I'm going to pop in my phrase, making sure that it's nice and straight. And that will then create the other side of my fold so that it'll open and then it will close. Whoops, it's not quite dry. It will close like so. So let's set this aside to dry for a second, and then I'll come back and we will finish off by adding some embellishments. All right, I think my card is dry enough so that I can move on to the next step, and that is to add these embellishments that we have created using the Forever Flourishing stamp set and matching dies. And to do that, I am going to lift mine up. I feel that this paper is quite busy in its pattern. And if I just throw a couple of leaves down on here, you really might miss them visually, or it might take a few minutes to actually notice that they're there. So what I'm going to do is bring in my mini Stampin' Dimensionals, and then I will peel the tails off, and then add them to the card to add some visual interest. So there's one. There we go. I've got my 4 leaves attached to the front of the card. And then I'm going to add a few lovely embellishments, just because I feel like this would be fun to have a little bit of shine to it as well. So I'll add some of these gold pieces, these little gold pearls, and maybe I will add just a couple of more to the card itself, and we'll see who actually notices them overall. And there we go, my beautiful interlocking gatefold card is ready to send to somebody special. Now let me show you another card idea using the same technique. Here it is here. For this card, I used the Best Year stamp set for my phrase. I used 2 of the Meadows dies to add my embellishments. And this paper is coming for free your way in August and September for our next celebration event. It's called Beautifully Penned, and let me show you that. So here is the paper. As a demonstrator, we get to pre-order from the next mini catalog that's also going live in August, and we get to earn celebration choices for free, just like you do. So here is the beautifully penned paper. I just absolutely love it, and I think you'll be seeing a lot of projects coming your way using this paper. Whoops. So I used the paper on the front of my card, and then I've already gone ahead and decorated the inside by adding the exact same die, but instead of being in basic white, I used basic gray. So there you go. You have 2 fun ideas for this interlocking gatefold card technique. I would love to know which one you like best. Why don't you share your choice in the description box underneath this video? If you'd like a complete listing of the supplies that I used and the product ordering numbers, head on over to my blog, www.nutsaboutstamping.com. And I also invite you to join my free mailing list to get insider tips and ideas to take your card making to the next level. You can join my mailing list by using the link in the description box under this video. I'm Terri. I am Nuts About Stamping. I hope you'll try this fun fold technique someday soon. Bye for now.